my gosh, I cannot believe we have that many pieces. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, my name is Ashley Wheeler. I am a work from home mom and manage multiple online e-commerce stores. So today's video is actually one that's been highly requested on our Instagram. If you're not following us over there, it is Ashley Wheeler of 8. And I've been showing a lot of the behind the scenes for a various amount of time now, and multiple different hauls that we have done on traveling trips. And I've had so many people inquire over the year about how do we travel to thrift, essentially be able to get a bulk of inventory like this. And so through this video today, we're going to actually take you to Portland, Oregon with us. We do live on the east side of Oregon, so it is about a 3 to 4 hour drive depending on where we're going in Portland. We're going to stay the night there, so I'm going to show you all of that, and at the same time I'm going to highlight some of the questions that have been asked to us on the Instagram. So stay tuned to the whole end of this video, because you're going to see what we pick up, you're going to see all the questions answered if this is something that would be interesting to you to implement into your business, as well as just get a really awesome, enjoyable time with us. I'd love to be able to take you on this journey. So right now, I am not done up as I normally am because it is morning. Right now it is 8:06. My husband just dropped off the kids at school, and you might be able to see over here, but I have some shipping to do. So that's what we're going to do first. Okay guys, we're officially on the road a lot later than normal. Normally we get on the road a couple hours after, maybe give or take, but I think any parent can relate to anytime you're trying to leave the house and there's all the different things you want to clean up so you do not come home to a messy house. That's what we were experiencing today. Okay, we're back in the car now, so I'm going to start answering some of the questions you guys gave me on Instagram. The first one is, do you have a goal of how many pieces you would like to get on your trip? Do you set limits for your cost of goods when sourcing in bulk? This is a great question. We don't necessarily set a limit of how much we're willing to spend as much as how much are we wanting to come home with. And so if we know we have, say, $500 and we need to come home with 300 pieces, then we're going to want to shop at the outlet. If maybe we have a little bit more money and we want to hit some other thrift stores, we just will keep in mind we need to go home with this amount of items. So I guess where we'll shop will definitely alter based on how much we do have to spend. But very, very good question. This question has a lot of questions, so we're going to unpack this one. The first one is, do you do your research before traveling? Yes and no, and I think what I'm hearing by research is, how do you figure out what are the thrift places in that area that you're going to? So we've gone on traveling trips before, flying somewhere, and then we'll just GPS thrift stores, buy, sell, trade stores, and then we'll start thinking of just the different thrift stores. Goodwill, we'll search Value Village, we'll search just the thrift stores. What's some of the others? Salvation Army. I'm trying to think.
St.
Vincent de Paul. So we'll start actually putting in some of those names, because I have noticed before, if you just put thrift stores, sometimes you miss some of the other stores that are around. When we go do this one, like we're doing right now, where we're going to a place that we've gone to regularly, we kind of have just our regulars. We know where we like to go, so we'll get a hotel close by it, and then we will thrift at the places we like to go to. Next question on this one is, if you are traveling with your spouse or your family, how do you thrift without offending them? So Jeff is here.
Hi. So I think, fortunately, my spouse doesn't get offended if I find more items than her.
He thrifts harder than I do, you guys, honestly. Like, I'll get to a point where I'm like, I'm starving, feed me. Like, I'm done with here. And he's like, I just want to go through one more bin. And like 45 minutes later, we're still there. So no, it's definitely a mutual desire. We enjoy thrifting. We enjoy doing this business together. I think this is why we've been able to sustain it for so long, is because we get to do it together as much as we can. There's definitely a lot of other things that get in the way sometimes to assist.
I think that is probably a question that's maybe directed though at those couples that don't thrift together.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of thinking that, you know, it's all about balance. If you enjoy thrifting and sourcing, but your spouse doesn't, well, if you're on vacation or something like that, you probably don't want to spend the whole time doing that, because that could be easily offensive. However, if your sourcing and reselling is paying for the trip, then you know, your spouse is just along for a free ride, getting to enjoy it along the way. So make sure you've got some just some things lined up to spend some quality time together, doing something you enjoy doing together. So
yeah, we've been in other businesses before, and I've heard when spouses are not supportive. And one of the biggest things I always remember hearing the people saying is like, just show them the money. If you can show them money, then they might change their mind a little differently about what it is that you're doing. I think that you definitely have to have ebbs and flows of it. Kind of remind them why it is that you're doing what you're doing. When it does come to these trips, we do not bring our kids. We do like to kind of have this as like a date weekend / being able to get work done. And the kids would go berserk if we were constantly in stores the whole entire time. We don't leave a lot of room when we're doing these work trips for play or anything like that. We have done trips for like family vacations before, and then that's like we're there with the grandparents and we're like, okay, Jeff and I are gonna go leave for like an hour or two. You can hang out with the kids. We're gonna go and get some inventory. So that's kind of how we ebbed and flowed when it comes to sourcing with family. The next part of this question is, if you travel by air, do you pay for extra luggage as you end up buying more? I knew you were going to enjoy this one. So we haven't necessarily taken a trip to go sourcing. However, when we went to Posh Fest in Arizona, we totally ditched one of the mornings, and because a Goodwill had a 50% off sale, and we spent like hours in there. Totally missed the whole morning breakout sessions. And I can let my husband finish this one because this is good.
Okay, so we don't typically pay for extra luggage when we travel. However, when we source while we're traveling, we generally find extra luggage at the sourcing point. So case in point, when we were in Arizona, we knew we needed extra suitcases to get all of the luggage or all of the new inventory home. And so we immediately started looking for the suitcases and scored about a $300 Nike hard-sided suitcase for about $12 and jam-packed that thing full to like 49.5 pounds with a little travel scale. And then we paid for the extra bag. It was like $35 to get it home. So it cost a little bit more for the inventory, but we didn't pay in advance for that because you never know how many bags you're going to have.
A couple of other things I've heard people do is put a small suitcase inside of their suitcase and essentially like pack everything else around that, so that can end up becoming a carry-on basically. Then I've also heard Denali at El Ducho Thrift actually did a video of this a long time ago, and this was where I think the desire for wanting to travel and get inventory really started in me. Is she would go to LA on like a regular basis, spend like 3 to 4 days down there, and spend like 12-hour days at the outlets down there. And she talked a lot about getting boxes, and literally she'd get an Airbnb with a couple of other resellers. They would all get a bunch of like boxes and start like shipping from FedEx before they even left, and FedEx could come and pick up from them, or as they were headed to the airport, they'd be dropping it off there, and they would essentially be getting like wholesale boxes like sent back to their house in various like time frames as they were coming back home, along with whatever else they were able to stuff in their luggage as they were going. So you can very intentionally fly somewhere, get inventory, and have means to bring it back home. I would just strongly suggest that you add that into the cost of the items. So for us, it made sense when we were in Arizona, because that whole trip was like 50% off in a Goodwill. So, and they were items, since we live in a rural area, they were brands and items that we don't normally get to pick up. So that is something I really do enjoy too. All right, next question is, I've never been to the bins and so want to take a trip to go. You gotta go. Trust me, you gotta go. How long do you allow for shopping versus sorting and checking? Are there things you absolutely pass on? So this is a really great question, actually. I feel like we just, it's dependent on the time. So for example, when we are going on a trip and we're like, okay, we are going to spend like the whole day shopping, we definitely, I think we'll shop about 3-4 hours. And then about that point, we're looking at each other going, okay, I think have exhausted this place. So let's start sorting. Sorting can take 30 minutes to 40 and even an hour, depending on how much stuff we were able to get, because we do pick through everything. Like, we make sure the soles and shoes haven't broken off, or like you do a twist test. We go into a different area that might have different lighting, and suddenly you're seeing different stains or oil stains that you didn't see before. So it kind of just starts to vary. Check the zippers. I like to make sure that we have a fair amount of time to go through our carts. Are there things you absolutely pass on? Honestly, I know I don't really look in the hard goods section. I know that my husband loves to do that. I wouldn't say there isn't anything we wouldn't. If we were maybe flying home, we wouldn't be picking a ton of hard goods. It would be more clothing focused and shoes. But when we're just driving in our car and we're gonna fill this up, like anything, nothing's off limits. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've really gotten it honed in on making sure that when we're sorting through things, you know, initially you might have grabbed it thinking it was a good piece or something like that, but really scrutinizing things heavily at the bins or at the outlet will help you not to have a massive, ginormous death pile at the end of it. That, you know, you've got to, these 10 things have to soak in the tub, or these things are dry clean only, and you know, I don't have a way to get it dry clean without taking it somewhere, or you know, this has a snap that's missing. Do I really want to have to go through the trouble to repair that? You know, because your time is worth a lot as well, and so you have to take into consideration how much time are you going to have to put in for the return on that item. And of course, if it's a designer piece and it's like, you know, you're going to sell it and it's going to be, you know, big money, it might be worth that. But if it's not, you definitely want to take those things into consideration.
That's actually a really good point. I'm not going to lie, you guys. Our tub still has stuff in it. Like, we pretty much cleared all of the inventory. We were down to like hardly anything left except shoes that still need to be cleaned, and coats or things that are dry cleaned, they're still in our tub. So I do know that for exactly what Jeff said, if the piece is worth taking the time to fix, then by all means. And some people have businesses that are absolutely surrounded by, hey, I can sew this, I can put the button in, so if that's you, then by all means still pick those types of items up. For us, when we're at a place of like wanting to list 20 items a day and then wanting to scale that even more, we have to think about how much time are we spending on things. got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's super cold out there. You can't even like see everything. Ah. Good morning. It is now 7-ish something. Normally I have a watch on. I don't have it on. We are getting ready. Unfortunately, we did not get to work out this morning for the first time in like a week. Jeff and I both slept in. Like, we always wake up and we passed out. So clearly we needed it. I'm super bummed though, because I'm not gonna get to work out like I normally do on these trips. Otherwise I was gonna take you with us. I will kind of reflect on yesterday and say we got a lot of stuff. There were tons of bins of shoes and I didn't even get through all of the clothing. That's kind of standard. We got there at around 4 and they closed at 7. So we were there for a total of 3 hours. And to be honest, we did not get to sort through everything like we normally do. Like, we shopped for a good 3 hours. I didn't realize what time it was, and suddenly I heard in the overhead of like, hey, we're gonna be closing, so please come up to the register. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jeff, we didn't even like sort through the stuff. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting once we get back home. So I'm gonna finish getting ready. I'm gonna answer some questions and I'm gonna hopefully get some work done. The internet was not working well here, so we shall see. Okay, so let's do some more questions. The first question is, how do you make sure that there is a strong demand for each product you purchase, or left with the ratio hold or sell? So I don't know, do you feel like?
Well, I think one of the ways that we do it, obviously we sell on both Poshmark and on eBay. And so one of the things that we do, if we're uncertain of an item, is we'll look it up for comps, and then we'll select the basically your solds. And so like on eBay, for example, it shows that not only the solds for that, but it shows how many when you first select that. It shows how many in a, what is it, a 90-day time frame. So you can tell if there's a lot of those items selling or if there's not so much, or how that works. So I think Poshmark kind of the same in the regards to, it shows you, pulls up the different ones.
And depending on how you filter it, it'll be just recently shared or just recently listed. So that'll help you get an idea too. But I do like how eBay does provide you with like, hey, in the last 90-day total, this is kind of it. Now, when you're grabbing a pair of jeans and you don't know the exact style of the jean, but you're just looking at the typical brand, you might find that some styles of jeans are going to go faster than others. But that's kind of just the element of business for us.
Right.
Like, we still have items. I was doing some relisting on Poshmark the other day, and found that we've had items that have, I hate to say it, but have been in our store for over 500 days. So my thought always is, if someone is walking essentially into my store, do I have 100 items in my store, or do I have 1,000 or 2,000 items in my store? Because the more items I have, the more customers I'm going to be able to serve, and the more items I'm going to be able to sell daily. But if I only have 50 or 100 items, like, I'm only going to reach a certain customer base. So we are willing to hold on to things for a year or so, knowing that the right person's going to come along. Of course, we do sales, we'll do different things like that, but that's kind of our thought process. And we also do look at our analytics now. We have enough of an established store that we can look at an item and go, yes, we've sold this before, or yes, it's been this brand that seems to be really hot for us right now. And then there's other brands that we're like, heck no, we're not picking that up because it does not sell for us at all. Even someone else could be like, no, that's a great brand for me. So you definitely have to have a little bit of an established store to be able to do that kinds of stuff. But absolutely, when we first started, our phones were dying because we were always checking things up on comps. So this question is kind of similar to one we've already gotten, but there is a few more aspects to it that I want to cover. So this person was asking about some of the practical aspects. Hotel, food, do you bring a map to your routes? So for us, there's a couple different places we like to go to, and we have kind of our tried and true hotels. This is a different hotel than what we've normally gone to, but we decided to do something a little different this time. Food wise, we like to bring snacks. We like to bring protein shakes, bars. Jeff cut up apples this time. We just have snacks on the road, as well as when we're in the stores. We do as much less cost as possible, but then we'll have a nice dinner, or we'll go get some food for lunch or something like that. Do we map out a route? I guess basically we do. We kind of have a direction.
We definitely are strategic with where we're going to go. I mean, for example, yesterday, one of our stops was IKEA to be able to get some closet wardrobe units for hanging our coats in.
Yeah.
So, we discussed potentially going to the outlet first, what the time frame looked like, what the traffic was going to be. We made the decision that no, it actually was going to be better to go to IKEA first, because if we waited, the traffic might be so bad that we might not actually make it there before it closed. So we definitely are strategic about those things. We chose the hotel that we're at tonight, or last night, based on our next sourcing place for today. So we definitely are strategic about those things.
Yeah. And then we kind of already covered it, but do you bring your kids? So basically, if we're doing a work trip like this, no, we don't. We get a babysitter. If we are going on vacation with the kids and then want to go to a store, then we're only going to maybe shop for an hour or 2 hours. And again, we'll see if the kids can hang out with like the older kids or grandparents, wherever we're traveling to.
Or the other thing is, if it's just Ashley and I with the kids, then we'll tag team. One of us will stay with the kids, and the other will go in and go sourcing. So, it's really difficult to be focused and not distracted when you're sourcing if you have your kids with you.
Yeah.
I would just say that if a babysitter isn't an option and you have to take your kids with you if you're a single parent, kind of the same thing I said yesterday about your husband, or your spouse, if you're trying to, if they're uninvolved or uninterested, how do you do it without offending them? Kind of the same principle with the kids. I hate to say it, but bribery goes a long ways. If you're there getting stuff, for your business, your kids don't see it as you're getting stuff for your business. They see you're getting stuff for you.
Yeah.
So I would just plan on, you're going to get something for them as well. And, just put it in their court and say, hey, we're going to be looking for a special treasure for you today. So help me find that special thing. And then it gives them something to focus on. It gives them something to think about, to be looking for. And you're training them, and the same things you're doing.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that at the outlet. I think it is so much harder though, because I know when I've brought a couple of my kids to the outlet or the bins before, they don't necessarily see the items as like for sale. Because when you go into a grocery store or like a Walmart and there's toys, they're packaged. And I've caught my kids just like wanting to take it and like leaving with it. And I'm like, no, honey, like we need to buy that. Or like you can't break that. It's still something that's for sale. Please be careful with it. So it is kind of a different element when you're shopping at the outlets. And I would even say just a regular Goodwill too. There's been times where my kids will go into like the kids section and all of a sudden like they're running around playing with the toys and I'm like, oh my goodness. So it is rough. I've definitely done it before, but it is hard.
It's not our preference.
It's not our preference. Well, I was going to show you guys how we got everything in, but it is hailing, so we just got rained out. Sun is back out just in time for Jeff to pin down our top carrier. We have never needed our actual top carrier. We always bring it just in case we do. We need it this time. We are officially home. We finally have everything in the house and we're trying to go through it all. Let me show you. So this is some of the shoes right here. My husband got some hard good items, also some other hard good items. These are still fully packed with clothing. We've gone through these IKEA bags so far. We have this pile of shoes, this pile of shoes, and then we're starting to kind of go through some of the clothing. This is actually our clothing over here, but this is the stuff that I've gotten to show my husband so far, but we're gonna start counting everything. Then we will proceed with starting to wash things. And then once that's all done, I generally do a good wipe down of our couches, vacuum the area, just kind of desanitize, but we're gonna start going through that process and processing all the items. At this point, we have pulled everything out and we're starting to create piles over here. We're starting to create piles over there while counting to figure out what items are going to be washed together and how many items do we have total. So I will keep you posted. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we have that many pieces. Do you want to know? We ended up with a total of 692 pieces. That is the most we've ever come home with. So at this point, everything is in piles based on the garments, be it jeans, plaid shirts, exercise stuff, different colors for clothing, because I'm so tired of things staining each other and then not being sellable after that. So we are making sure that we have got everything coordinated that way. And then I need to still sanitize this couch. I just thought about that. All right, my friends, I have gotten the amazing honor of being able to take you along on our road trip, show you what it's like behind the scenes, and answer some of your most asked questions on Instagram. However, if there's any other questions that you have about how we do these trips on a monthly basis, feel free to comment down below. And if you're wanting to see all of the items that we got from our trip, maybe not, we shall see. I'm going to be doing a haul video next week, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that video. Until then, I'll see you next time.